This is the Environmental Protection Commission, public hearing and regular meeting Wednesday, April 8th, 2026. The first item of business is a public hearing, EPC 04-2026, PL 26-2, 17 Nickerson Lane, M. Ross and K. Ross, to construct a pier, ramp, floating dock, and other related features in and approximate to Holly Pond and other areas of resource. The property lies along the south side of Nickerson Lane, approximately 800 feet west of Nearwater Lane, and identified as map number 52, lot number 9. The zone is R1 and is approximately 0.9799 acres.
Mr. Chairman, just a few housekeeping matters as we move through the public hearing process. The applicant, per our regulations, had provided the notice, proof of notice, to the abutting property owners. We published legals twice in the Darien Times per the regulations for this public hearing.
Could you speak up, please? We can't hear you.
If for those of you, there's also incorporated into the file a copy of my resume. There's also been, as part of the file, notice to the adjoining municipality, given its location relative to the municipal boundary. In the agenda summary report that I prepared is a listing of the plan references and the reports that are pertinent to the application, and it ranges from copies of the DEP permits and Army Corps of Engineer permits, the typical narrative photographs. We had plans that had been prepared to show the dock superimposed on the approved site development and approved landscape plan. And there's a series of correspondence from a structural engineer and other technical memoranda that had been prepared by an environmental consultant. I made reference to when several years ago, for those who've been on for more than 3 or 4 years, this property has a history with the EPC. Not to go in beyond that, but the latest involved the development of the property with a new single-family dwelling. Extensive hearings were held, a permit was granted, and again, for single-family dwelling, and drainage, drives, pool, other related facilities, a great level of detail in preserving the edge of Holly Pond and enhancing that with native plantings. The resources on the property include coastal flood hazard area. There's tidal wetlands. There's no inland wetlands, surprisingly. There are shorelines and embayment, which is Holly Pond itself, and there's a description of what each of those are. The special flood hazard area kind of cuts across the lot. The house has to be and was designed and will be certified as such as being a flood-proof dwelling per the flood regulations. Tidal wetlands were mapped and remapped and verified. So there's a good level of detail on the plans in terms of resources and the development that has occurred to date. The current proposal under this public hearing is for a dock along the western edge of the property. Just as a quick aside, when this application was submitted as an application, this commission determined that the review of this would be conducted under the public hearing process because of public interest. So the application is for this dock. There's the specifications for the dock, and there's some information in the file pertinent to what the impacts would be. The dock itself will be approximately 69 feet long. It goes from the uplands above the high tide line to into portions of Holly Pond. It has been designed to withstand the flood forces, and there's an engineering certification letter. The engineer has further certified that there will not be any adverse impacts on or changes to the dynamics of the flood. A lot of the time and attention to the public hearing process for our purposes is how is it going to be constructed. So the construction, like most of the other ones, in Darien, especially around Holly Pond, will be by the water side primarily. A shallow draft barge will come in at high tide. And again, these very detailed plans that are submitted to us, but were part of the DEP application that had been in the license that was granted on their behalf. And also the Army Corps of Engineers had reviewed it and granted a permit for the work as well. But the majority of the construction will occur from the water side, low profile barge, make it over the dam through Holly Pond at high tide, working with the tides, driving piles, actually adding the other components to the extent that they can from the water side. They have to work, again, working with the tides. When the tide goes down, they have to go out, move the barge back out so as not to impact the tidal wetlands or the substrate, the subtidal substrate of the Holly Pond. Pretty typical scenario. Will be addressed from the upland side is the creation of the footing of the foundation that essentially holds it in place, and of course some de minimis kind of other construction practice. We spent a lot of time with, per the commission's recommendation, is showing how it fits in with what had previously been proposed. There is a statement from an environmental professional that looked at the plans and looked at the prior development. The prior development, you went in great detail with what was approved, as a result of doing this pier, although not reflected on the original plan, does not substantially alter the design of the overall development of the property. Kind of meanders its way through the trees, the access. There may be some very de minimis changes to the planting scenario that's there. And there is a boulder demarcation feature that was a pertinent part of the application. It may necessitate relocation of a few of those boulders to gain access. That is essentially the summary of the application. The dock designer and the permit holder is, or the applicant is here this evening to answer your questions. Things, and I also wanted to state for the record, we have received a letter. It's in the file from one of the budding property owners, and they outline their concerns with the dock as installed. And I know others are present this evening that wish to have comment on the application itself. Just stepping back to what the environmental consultant has done, this is all elevated. This dock, it's on piles, will allow for continued tidal flushing as a result of doing the construction in that manner. Also, less impactful on any potential flooding. So, Mr. Hiltz is here this evening. I'm available to answer questions. We'll go from there.
Mr. Hiltz?
Thank you. Good evening. For the record, John Hiltz, representing the owner, Mr. Ross, 17 Nickerson Lane. Mr. Talamelli gave you a pretty thorough going over. I'm sure you're familiar with the plans. It's a 40-foot long pier, giving access to an aluminum ramp landing on a floating dock, supported or rather anchored by pilings. Both the pier is anchored by 4 pilings. The floating dock will be anchored by 2. It has received approvals from both the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection as well as the Army Corps of Engineers. As part of the DEP approval, the analyst handling the application visited the site. The only glitch, if you will, in the application process at that point was that there was a series of stones placed on I guess that would be the northern property area. Actually, they had been placed by neighbors inadvertently, and the neighbors very nicely offered to remove them. And so we were able to provide photographic evidence to the DEP saying stones have been removed and revise the plan accordingly, and the license was issued. So there's that, and that's pretty much all I can give you right now. I'm happy to answer any and all questions.
Okay. Michael?
I have no questions, thank you.
I'm okay.
Do you comment on the size, scale of the ramp and also the dock in relation to, in your professional opinion, the site can take? And also observationally, what else you're seeing for similar properties on that particularly
Holly Pond.
sensitive area?
Okay, sure. The dock, as licensed, it received the DEP license under what's called the 440 dock general permit, okay? So that's very specific in what you can and cannot do. Specifically, there can be no greater aerial impact than 220 square feet below the mean high water line, which is the case here. The fixed pier component cannot be any wider than 4 feet, which is the case here. You are allowed under that general permit main floating dock of 100 square feet and an ancillary ramp landing float of 30 square feet, which is the case here. The ramp is of sufficient length to accommodate the tidal range in the area. Basically spanning the wetlands and the sensitive areas requires that the dock extend landward to above what's called the coastal jurisdiction limit, which is the state's direct jurisdictional oversight. And that allows it to meet grade somewhat. There is a slight ramping at the landward end of the pier. But most of what you see here is driven by the requirements of that general permit. You couldn't, under a full structures and tidal wetlands permit application, for example, which is if you try to go beyond those parameters. If we had to extend the pier farther, waterward, or if we had to extend the floating dock further waterward, you wouldn't get much more per se. You wouldn't get a bigger float. You might get a wider ramp. You might get some additional waterward encroachment, but at the end of the day, Holly Pond is limited in what it can accommodate in terms of boating. So it's not as though you're going to be parking anything, with major draft there or anything like that. So that's really what drives this design. And it's similar to other docks we've done in the pond.
And can you confirm, based upon at least the review that I've seen in the plans here, there's no plan to electrify or have lighting on this?
No, none whatsoever.
No further questions. Thank you.
Nothing like that. Thank you.
So I understand that the dock has been, and pier has been designed according to the permit that you were issued, but if I understood Peter's question, is it were any alternatives considered, or based on the topography that you're dealing with, was this the minimum? Because it sounds big. It's 69 feet long.
Well, it's an overall 69.
Overall 69
I mean,
feet.
if you think of it, we could make it shorter, but think of it this way. The way you'd make it, obviously you want the float to float. Okay, so let's start at the waterward end and work back. How's that sound?
Okay.
So, working back, what can we do? Well, there's requirements for clearance, for example. Both the Army Corps of Engineers and the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection require 5 feet of clearance beneath the lowest structural member at the intersection of the mean high water line. So I have to be up in the air that high, okay? So at the, looking at the plan in the section view, you get to that intersection, right? And you're still approximately 4 or 5 feet waterward of the coastal jurisdiction limit. So what do we do there? We could stop and put a ladder down, but you'd still be in an area of high marsh. So you'd be directly impacting that high marsh by virtue of shortening the pier. So one of the reasons DEP likes piers, for lack of a better term, is that you're not trampling vegetation, you're not walking on vegetation, you're not continually passing back and forth over tidal wetlands, high marsh, what have you. So that being the case, that's really why we do this. I mean, we could, I guess, shorten that ramp section somewhat, but in doing so, we would create a very steep ramp, which is, not conducive to actually getting on and off very easily. I've seen those. I've actually did those once because certain parameters of the site required a pretty sharp, slope. No one was happy with it, and it's not necessary here. I mean, you basically, if you think of it, we transpose this onto the planning plan, right? And I mean, there's a lot of plantings that are proposed here, and we want to avoid those as well as what's currently there now. I mean, the planning plan is all well and good, but I have to, in applying to the DEP, that's a supposition. I have to look at what's there here and now and say I need to avoid any adverse impacts or minimize any adverse impacts to the greatest extent. So that's really what drives all this.
Okay, so then just to summarize so that I understand.
Yeah.
It is technically feasible to shorten it, but there are no truly prudent and reasonable alternatives.
It's technically reasonable, but it's almost regulatorily impractical.
Okay.
You would have to make an argument kind of counter to the goal of the permitting review.
Speaking of the vegetation, there will be any additional removal of trees?
No, God, no.
Okay. And then I have actually a question for Rick. Is it possible to make as a condition some minor changes to what was approved in the 2023 application? Something with regard to plants?
I would say no, because that was approved at the time. So I have a pretty good collection of plants that are on there. I'm sure that, it wasn't as diligently pursued as it is now, but
Right.
it was, it's an approved plan.
Mhm.
Now, if somebody came in and wanted to add to that,
Okay.
and then, or if they wanted to make some changes, I mean, we could certainly look at it and make sure that they are now true native plants and they're going to be
Right.
tolerant of the conditions that are there.
Right, it's that and it was the use of the herbicides and pesticides.
Yeah.
That was-
But that's what was approved at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, we've kind of, we've grown since then.
Yep.
So, those are all the questions I have.
Not sure you can answer this, but at the point in time that the last application was done, they had paths leading down from the house to what was at that point considered the best place to have a dock.
Okay.
They didn't apply for a dock, and we knew that we'd see you later.
Or someone like me.
And so, no, you've been in front of us before.
Yes, I have.
And so, and there were pathways, as I recall, going down from the house there.
Okay.
Is the dock in that place where it was perceived to be the best spot at that point?
I can't speak to that because I'm not familiar with what was there then.
Mhm.
When I did my site investigation, obviously the house was under construction.
Mhm.
And in addition to that, a lot of, the area in question was very overgrown. I mean,
Yeah.
the area all along the shore. So
Sure.
if there was a path there previously,
No. This is at the house. The final planting plan for the house
A
had
Oh. 4-foot path.
had thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a 4-foot path that ostensibly they were going to mark out so that
Basically for
in the
access to the
future,
water.
when they would have a dock, it would be all laid out, et cetera, so.
Perhaps Mr. Talamelli has,
Yeah, the pathway, and there was some flexibility within it, but there was a limitation that the commission wanted with width and to have it boulder
Yeah.
limited. I don't know if it was necessarily for future dock, but it was for
To
access.
get to the water.
To get to the water.
Okay, fair, okay.
So that is shown on the planting plan, which we
Mhm.
superimposed the dock. That was going to like the point.
Yep.
That's where they ended up putting it. There would have been discussion for doing it on the
Mhm.
west side as well.
Mhm.
But the limitation had to be with width and defining it, having a permanent marking for defining the boundary. So
Okay.
the dock comes just about up to what was permitted as the limits of
Yeah.
manicured lawn, which is very de minimis.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be impactful on the boulder demarcation feature or the plantings
Mhm.
or, but certainly, I think you could have the same limitation as that access to that could be 4 feet and have the same parameters as.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, when you built the other dock on Holly Pond, you had to get over, you said you would float in
over the dam.
over the dam.
Yeah, you come in over the dam. It's a shoal, it's not the favorite place for dock builders to go.
Well, no, because I know, I've had questions as to, gee, can I take my boat over the dam?
Yeah,
I was sort of
exactly.
like,
And,
yeah, I guess you can, I'm not sure what'll be left of the boat,
it
okay?
depends on what your boat is drawing, sir, and what the tide is.
And so, no,
And so that's,
What's
that
the
is
draft on your,
Yeah.
what's the draft on your?
The contractor who built the last dock, his draft is roughly 2 feet when laden. Okay, so he has enough to get over the dam on a moon tide. And
Okay.
that's what he does.
Okay.
Basically goes in, and,
High tide, moon tide,
yeah,
okay.
exactly. So that
Okay.
being the case,
So there is a 2-foot draft?
so the owner will have to be patient,
Yeah,
just
we'll have to
as
pick a moon tide,
previous
yeah.
owners have had to be patient, because you only get so
Right.
many good tides in order to do
Okay.
that. But that is how they do it. yeah.
Mhm. I was just curious as to how that,
Yeah.
okay. Are there any more questions from the commissioners? Go ahead.
I just have one thing, just want a point of clarification was, so the dock is on the west side. Why wouldn't it be put at the point?
Very good question. If you look at the plans, you'll see there's a restricted area there that doesn't allow for any development. So that's why on the proposed plan, we're 2 feet away from the apex of that restricted area.
So it's a restriction on the map and it's in the deed
Yeah,
to the
and
property.
so
Uh-huh.
that's a valid question, because that was my first, actually, that was not only my first inclination, that was the owner's and the builder's inclination as well, to go through there,
Build the point,
but unfortunately, the restriction is there, so
The state,
we
okay.
needed to avoid it.
okay. Okay, if there are no more questions or comments from the commissioners, I'll open up to the public. If the public, somebody from the public would like to speak, sir, you want to come up here, please identify yourself, give your name and street address for the record, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yep. My name is Pieter Enkema van Dijk. My
And
wife
you,
is
could you spell that, please?
Enkema van Dijk, E-E-N-K-E-M-A, V-A-N-D-I-J-K.
One more time. I think you missed it.
E-E-N-K-E-M-A, space V-A-N, space D-I-J-K. That's a long last name.
Yes.
So I'm the neighbor at 19 Nicholson Lane, and let me first say I'm not contesting the dock. We are big boaters ourselves. My wife is here too. We have 6 kayaks. We have a mooring in Holly Pond for a Boston whaler, and we have 2 sailboats in the harbor. But the location, and I think you make a good point. I wonder why the location is where it is, because you have a 40-foot pier and then a 26-foot ramp, because the wetlands are wide there. But if you go at the top of the property, the property, the grade is very high, and the wetlands is minimal. There's a little bit of wetlands, but it's like not even 10 feet. So you could go with a pier straight down, or with a ramp straight down, right? The water is deeper there. We have lived there since '92, so we know exactly where it's deep, where it's not deep, right? So on the western side, the water is shallow, and at the top of the property, you would also save a lot of cost. So I was just wondering why I'm not against it. I'm just wondering about the location there. It doesn't make a lot of sense if you go to the top of the property. I think that's what you were talking about. Look, here, the wetlands are very, very small. The property, the grade is high, right? So you can go straight down. The water is deep there too. Here, I don't know if this is totally accurate because the wetlands are wide here. That's why you need the long pier, right? Then you have to go down and then you have the dock. But the water is shallower here and you need a much longer pier. So that the location doesn't, I don't know why it is there. I think the path that you talked about is here. So it would be more logical to do it where that path is.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my question, why that location?
Okay, do you have any other questions? Because I'll get Mr. Hiltz to answer your question or comment.
No, that's it. That's
Okay.
it, just.
Mr. Hiltz?
Can I see your
Yep.
map that you were?
Yep.
And you were saying whereabouts?
Yeah, so here, so we live here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is pretty wide,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And that's very narrow.
And here it's very narrow.
Right.
And it goes straight down.
That's the restricted area that I mentioned previously.
Oh, because I didn't understand it. So this is all restricted?
Yes, sir.
You cannot do it?
The state restricts that.
Oh, the state?
The state restricts that. All of Holly Pond, as I recall, Rick, you
No,
can.
it is a, I think, a private restriction.
Oh, it's a private restriction.
Private
Okay.
restriction that
Right.
limits the installation of
It's not
structures and
very
impact on views and so
Okay.
forth.
Private
on
restriction.
here, but
Private restriction?
I believe it's a private restriction.
Because the house next door has a dock right there.
It's on the
Also-
slot of restriction.
What is a private restriction?
I think it has to do with building of structures and views, if I'm not mistaken.
But private, the restrictions are by the town or by the?
So I have not read the deeds here, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Hills, but typically when properties get divided, the owner that divides oftentimes puts a deed restriction in the sold or adjacent property to preserve the views for their property that they retain in perpetuity. Is that a fair
that's
comment?
right, exactly. You know, your point is valid. I mean,
Right.
if that restriction wasn't there, that was
Yeah, okay.
where we would have located.
Right, okay.
So I have not seen the deed restriction, but
Right.
That
in
makes sense.
some ways taking it on.
It's on
So it's a
the
deed-
plot
so it's a
plan,
local-
and
so
you
it's a
know,
private deed
it's
restriction.
recorded, so,
Yeah.
you know, I had to obey the
Deed restriction?
hash.
If he had built on that, then the adjoining property would have a personal right to sue and have it removed.
Right, and we don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's a little strange because the property was owned, it was under 2 acres, right? So it was 1.95 of an acre. And then Mitch Ross bought it, built a house on the left side.
It could go back to the previous owner or the previous owner. It doesn't have to be the current owner. It runs with the land.
Yeah.
But he's the one who subdivided it, I think.
Yep.
Is the neighbor the one who subdivided it?
No, so it was then, the town first didn't allow the lot to be split because it was under 2 acres. Then it was appealed, it was denied again.
Okay.
Then it went to Connecticut court, and somehow in Connecticut court it was approved.
And maybe that was part of the town agreement. I don't know, I haven't read the deed restriction, but.
Yeah,
yeah.
could be. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hendrick. Is there anybody else who would like to speak at this? Anybody else? Going once?
And one of the things that I know that the commission asked for, and maybe Mr. Hiltz would take 2 minutes to talk about it, is the DEP process. You know, what is the, you know, it is the environmental review that they take into consideration when they grant their permit. So there was an analyst out there, and they looked at things such as the habitats and those kinds of things. Maybe just take 2 seconds that we can just.
Would you mind?
Sure, no.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if we're gonna answer that question, if you've seen the neighbor's letter regarding wildlife and the habitat.
And decimation thereof. But no, just kidding. No, part of the application process is there are certain areas, I'm sure you're familiar with this, that the state labels natural diversity database concern areas. There can be species of concern in these areas, and what you do as part of the application prior to actually submitting the application is you provide plans, and you address forms, you address certain questions posed by the natural diversity database staff so that they can make a determination as to what the potential impact will be for your proposed project. So that is part of the record that goes into the application itself to the state. Now, on top of that, for the Army approval, they too have a species specific review. They will look at it, they will look at a site, and they will determine what if there's a critical habitat, but even if there isn't a critical habitat, they will know that there are species of special concerns there, and then you will go through a very lengthy process of answering questions, germane to any impacts upon those species. And again, both those determinations at the state and the Army level determine that there would be no, adverse impacts to any species. Now, the neighbors' concerns are about, for example, the transiting of, various wildlife and whatnot there. Again, the pier is elevated. So, any creature, raccoon, deer, what have you, possum, skunk, vole, can easily pass beneath that, or if they choose to do so, go up onto the pier, which raccoons seem to do with great frequency. And so that shouldn't be an issue. Fish are not put off by docks. In fact, fish often like to be under docks because it's a way of mitigating predation by birds and other fish. So there's actually a benefit in that. The dock itself will not sit on the bottom, so it won't have an adverse impact upon the benthic habitat, or the benthos there. The pier is narrow by 4 feet wide, so there won't be a shading impact upon any existing vegetation or the vegetation proposed under the planning plan. Birds are not adversely impacted by docks. I've been party to an adjudications matter at another dock on which the Audubon Society was called upon to testify for the interveners. The commissioner of the DEP asked them a specific question and saying, do you have any data to support any assertion that docks are adverse to, bird life? They said, we have none. So that, if the Audubon Society can't come up with it, I certainly can't either. So there's that aspect of life. Any other wildlife, again, no lighting, so, we're not going to be impacting things, with, producing a light source that would otherwise not be there. And again, one of the reasons why the DEP recommends private homeowners have docks of this nature is to avoid continuous crossings of intertidal wetlands. So we're basically doing what the state prefers we do.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Rick? Okay, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Yes, I make a motion to close the public hearing for EPC 04-2026, 17 Nickerson Lane.
Second motion to close the public hearing.
All in favor? Raise your hand. Okay. Unanimous. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Good to see you all.
Okay. Moving on, we go to our regular meeting. This is enforcement. Show cause hearing, 5 Oak Park Avenue, J. Bertoni. Construction of a playscape, installation of a curb, placement of fill, and other related activities proximate to the water course without a prior permit from the EPC, in violation of Section 6-1 of the Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Regulations of the Town of Darien.
Mr. Chairman, just some brief comments. I prepared a memo for you that just kind of highlights. This is a show cause area, given the owner, the applicant, the opportunity
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
to give you the opportunity to show cause why the cease and desist order should not remain in effect. Essentially, in response to a concern issued to our office.
Thanks, Mike.
Concerning an encroachment into regulated areas in drainage. Staff inspected the site, saw that a relatively large playscape had been installed within close proximity to the water course that's on the property. And I've outlined in our memo, it stems back to August and September of last year, with staff's actions of writing to the owner, explaining the situation, what the regulation was, that a permit would be required for any encroachment within 50 feet of wetlands and water courses, and outlining the path to bringing the site back into compliance, either by removing the structure. And the structure is a playscape with wood curbing and some fill that's down under it. I think in your package, there's a picture of the, and I don't know if you have this in your package, just a picture of the playscape. It's relatively close to the water course that's there. You'll also note that in the months following, staff urged the applicant to either file an application or to move forward to certain corrective actions. And that's all highlighted here. There was correspondence in October and December. In March, staff evaluated the progress to move forward, noting that there was no progress to either file an application or to mitigate the encroachment by removing the structure and the other associated activities. Petitioned the commission to issue a cease and desist order. And as a result of that, we have a show cause hearing, again, to enable the applicant to explain the reason why this order should not remain in effect, and to help all of us chart a pathway to bringing the site into compliance. The recommendations are, as such, is the commission will have an opportunity, and the opportunity is to allow that cease and desist order to remain in effect, and again, very consistently applied. Either it's removed by date certain, or you have to file an application. And filing of the application has to have a technical component. So it's updates of plans, showing the resources, showing the location of the existing facilities, evaluating professionally what potential impact is on drainage in the adjoining properties. It may not be that a permit application would say it can remain as is. It could possibly be that as well, but it could be some other position on the property, or it could not be at all. And so I've established a deadline of mid-May, but it's certainly open to discussion. And you know, if there is not continued noncompliance after that, then you can move forward with other components of an enforcement action, which could be publishing notice of facts of conduct on the paper, and then turn it over to the corporation counsel, the town council. But we're not at that point yet, certainly. And I believe the applicant or the owner is here this evening, and I think there's some interested parties that wanted to speak to this as well. I'm available for questions.
So, Mr. Bertoni, are you present?
Yes.
Would you?
Yeah, James Bertoni of 5 Oak Park.
Good. I'd like to understand what your position is on this.
Yeah, firstly, thank you for your time. Appreciate the commission's time in hearing this matter out. You know, it's not as grand as the last issue. It's a swing set in the backyard. And we're here to resolve this cooperatively. I have a brief statement that I'd like to read. My family and I care deeply about our home and the community in Darien. We recently welcomed our 3rd child. Actually, during all of this, the issues with the swing set, all of our children have been born while living in Darien. We purchased a 100-year-old home on a close neighborly street. We've been investing and improving it with the intention of being long-term residents and active members of the community. Like many members in Darien, we are involved in local activities, schools, and community events, and we view these types of investments, both in our home and for our children, as small contributions to the social fabric that makes this town special. The swing set was installed in that spirit as a simple, positive addition for our family and the neighborhood. At the time, based on our understanding of Section 4.2B of the Inland Wetland and Watercourse Regulations, referencing outdoor recreational uses, we had believed this installation would be permitted, as no grading or land disturbance occurred. The swing set was placed on top of an existing grass area. The rubber mulch is just sitting on top of an open grass area, and there's a rubber curb that just sits on top and holds the mulch in place. It's not, there's no grading, there's no, the additional materials are just a protective layer for children who fall. Upon being aware of the town's concerns, I acted in good faith to understand the requirements, and I'm here to resolve this matter in a practical and cooperative way. We were not residing at our property when the initial notice was issued, as we were improving our house. And unfortunately, the USPS mail forwarding, we never received the notice until several months later. Once we became aware of the situation, we immediately reached out to Mr. Talamelli and First Selectman and had correspondence through December of 2025 to clarify the issue, and have only recently moved back into our property a few weeks ago when we intended on really addressing the issue. We had been working on a permit, which is sitting in a draft state, but you know, given the complexity of the permit, for a swing set, it requires civil engineering, surveying of our property, soil samples of our property, a landscape plan, all just to submit for a swing set. So it was becoming prohibitively complex and expensive. So we wanted to try to really just explore paths forward, and we're actively engaging that. I've reached out to Redness and Mead. I've reached out to several landscape design firms you know, on this matter, and I'm waiting for some plans to come back. And just generally, I've noted I have not witnessed any impact to drainage or any flow issues, you know, related to the swing set. There are definitely drainage issues related to, you know, the broader construction, because there was a dumpster in our driveway, which has a catch basin, and there's like a drain at the bottom, and that was covered in leaves. And our house still hasn't been completed on the outside, so there's no gutters or anything catching the water from the house. So any changes in drainage or it's kind of too early to say, you know, until that's all complete.
May I ask a question?
Yep,
You mentioned the word swing set
yeah.
a bunch of times. Can you take a look at this photograph? Is that the thing we're talking about? Because the swing set for me, when I was growing up, was 4 poles and a couple of things. So is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, it has two, you know, those little, like most swing sets have now, those little like areas for the kids to climb up. Those are less than 50 square feet combined, and then there's the part with the, you know, the swings go. And there is like a walkway up top. It's not a small swing set.
I'm sorry, I
by
don't mean to
any
laugh.
means.
You can go pretty big now with them. I know.
No, yeah, but, you know, I don't trust you because it's a generational difference. Okay, it's a generational difference. You know, when I was growing up, it was, you know,
Yeah,
4 poles
2 poles and
and, you know, two swings, and, you know, this thing would rock back and forth as you know, when you swam. Okay, this, you know, I'm well over 200 pounds, this could hold me easy, okay, and, I'm just, there's a new word for this.
Accessory structure?
That's another word for it.
Maybe the kids think so.
Oh, what the,
So play, it's called a
playscape.
playscape, thank you very much, playscape.
Can I see the photo?
Yeah.
No, sure. So, no, so it's just to clarify, because for, all right, thanks. Here, pass it down to, maybe Michael can have his own.
Just to confirm, there are no, like footings or anything to this? It's just they get staked into the ground with those like metal?
It's actually all
Stakes,
wood.
yeah.
It's all,
Is this like the one you guys bought from like Costco or something like that, or was it?
it was
custom
used,
one?
no, a neighbor in town was getting rid of it. It's a very nice swing set. I would
No,
have
it's
never
beautiful,
purchased
yeah.
it. It's like
Lucky,
architectural,
lucky
yeah.
kids.
Trevor is drooling over it.
Yeah, well,
He's got little kids.
Is it on a concrete footing?
no. It's
No,
on
they make
grass.
these little thick things you screw down into it.
What's it on right here? It looks like a concrete pad.
I don't even have this
It
one.
might be sand. They use sand under the
That's a
sand.
sandbox,
Yeah.
Michael. That's the
I
sandbox,
can clarify it, I just don't.
right here.
Here, please, here, I got 2. Here, pass
That's
it
just
down.
wood.
Now, see right here, isn't that a sandbox, right? Or that's just wood?
Yeah, that's just wood. It was used, so they had to just put new wood down. So the white, you can see on the ramp, it's like a light color. The rest of it's gray.
Yeah.
It's just wood.
Okay.
It's wood slats. They're not touching the water. The water goes right through them. But, you know, it's in the setback. So that's what we're.
Off to the left, there's I'll call it a brownish red
Yeah.
building over here. What's that? What, that's a,
It's like a little like I don't know, kitchen house plate thing.
Hmm.
It's all just kid stuff. So a lot of it's just there also because we can't open our garage door, so I can't get it in my house too. So
Mhm.
it doesn't look like the cleanest backyard right now. Once we can get everything in, some of this will go in my basement. You know, that stuff's all not permanently in that location. And in terms of our yard, we're on less than a quarter acre. Almost the entire yard is within the setback, so anywhere I moved it, it would be, unless I can put it in the front yard, it would be in that area. And it would, you know, so
When you say setback, you mean the wetlands,
the wetland, this water course, 50-foot
Mhm.
setback. Yeah.
the upland review area.
The upland
Yeah.
review area, yes. And yeah, if you want to call it a playscape, it's not a small swing set, but, you know,
I was looking at the.
And what, as I'm looking at it, we're like 35 feet from the water course? Is that about right?
No.
no, it's,
No?
you know, I had the numbers somewhere, but I didn't.
I'm just saying,
there's
we're
a
like,
picket
it says
fence,
50
right?
feet to
There's a little
the upland review, and at the,
It's on the
The
house side of the
closest
picket
point.
fence, not on the stream side of the picket
Yeah,
fence,
yeah.
correct?
We have
I see
a,
that here.
Yeah.
the stream has like a natural buffer area that we've, you know, always kept.
is the picket fence, does that have footings?
That's all, I don't know. That's been there since we bought the house.
It's just to the landward side, called the landward side of the picket fence, so it's about,
So if this
10
is a
10
temporary
feet.
structure with no footings, why are we talking about it?
because it's an encroachment on regulated areas.
And it's a structure.
It's a structure and it's fill and it's,
But, okay, right there.
Rick, I have a question for you. So, we've had a couple of applications where, I think they were mostly for fence installations, but, we didn't require, you know, bona fide site plans, like there wasn't an engineer who was hired to do the plans, the homeowner did the plans. So would something like this require, a real site plan, or is this something that could be, the homeowner could do himself?
well, there's certain base information that is needed to be done, and part of this issue is that we have complaints from the abutters about drainage impact.
We haven't heard them yet.
We haven't heard them yet, so, it's, once they update, there is a survey.
Mm-hmm.
There is a survey already because they did an addition on the property.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't show the wetlands, but it would certainly have to be updated to show where the location of this is, and then it would have to have an engineer come in and to talk about the issues pertaining to drainage.
Okay.
The connection between the left and the right part, is that a passway or is that
Yeah.
just a support?
It's just a little, yeah, it's a little
Oh, it's a
passway.
little like,
A little
cattle crawl or whatever you
Gotcha.
wanna call it,
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably, yeah. And also, we're willing to get rid of the footings and the protective layer if that's the problem, and just leave it at a swing set. And also, if there's a path forward, what we don't want to do is fill out the application, pay the application fee, pay an engineer, pay a surveyor, pay, all the other requirements, and then basically just get told to tear down our swing set. So we just want to see if there's like a practical path forward.
Can you detail, step by step, the preparation that you put into installing this?
Sure.
And what I'm getting at is the fill, it looks like there's some gravel. What you did or didn't do, but what you did helps us inform as to what you didn't do.
Mhm. Yeah, it sits on those two platforms, and there's
But
just,
before we get to the platform,
Yeah.
did you bring in any soil? Did you bring in any rock? Did you?
No.
You
It's
just
just
brought
on-
in wood chips and then edged it?
it's just the swing set is substantial enough that it just stands up on its own, and there's, some wooden supports attached to it that keep it from tipping over. That's just on the grass that used to be lawn
As it exists.
as it had existed, and then they brought it, the wood chips are rubber, it's rubber mulch, it's like a protective falling mulch. Again, it came with, when I bought it, they had it, so I just took it all. So, my 2-year-old actually fell out of it and landed and bounced up, so I didn't think I would need it, but yeah, it's just loose rubber mulch on top of grass, and then the rubber curbing is not dug in, it's just this rubber pad, and they've just staked it in the ground. There's no digging, there's no dirt, there's no gravel, there's nothing that was brought in.
And the rubber mulch, was that installed? I know you got it as part of the set. Did you install that for aesthetics or protection purposes in the event a child fell on it? What was your thinking in terms of the rubber mulch?
Yeah, it was just protective for falls.
And then they don't get splinters when they fall.
Yeah, there's no, yeah. It's just protective layer, and I didn't have that as a kid, so if we have to get rid of that, I'm happy to get rid of that and the curbing. It's just like loose, it's like chewed up shoes, basically,
What would it take to move this out of the upland review area?
the whole thing. There's
No, just the question, because if it's out of the 50 feet, it's not within our jurisdiction.
my property's just not big enough. I'm on less than a quarter acre. The 50-foot area goes right up to my deck.
Oh.
And then it's just front yard.
This is a copy of the survey.
Yeah, I don't think that they have any space to move it.
Okay, that's fine, I just wanted to understand that, okay.
Oh, yeah.
This is the front yard over here, so like the driveway, you can't plop it on the driveway, and then you're not putting it over there.
Yeah, I see, okay, I got it.
You know what you're gonna need next? You're gonna need a gaga ball pit.
Oh,
What's
what?
that?
Gaga ball.
Oh.
It's the rage in elementary school.
Yeah, I don't think I-
What, to Google
It's
this?
an octagonal fence where the kids
Oh,
take
yeah,
a
yeah,
dodgeball
yeah.
and throw at each other all day long, and they have a blast. So, your driveway looks like a great
That
place
will be
for one of
in
those.
review.
That's
think
not
it's under
50
our
foot
jurisdiction.
either, so, yeah.
Right. All right, any other commissioners have any questions or comments here? Okay, I'd like to hear from the neighbors, if that's possible. Is there someone here who would like to speak?
Good evening. My name is Maureen Meehan, M-E-E-H-A-N. I live at 3 Oak Park Avenue, right next to James and Meg. I've been a resident here in town for almost 33 years and in my home for almost 31. I'm very familiar with all of the drainage and water issues that we are having and have had for the entire almost 31 years that I've lived there. When the playscape was installed, I didn't pay much attention until they came back in and they put in that curbing and the fill. The curbing actually, I don't know whether you can see in that picture, where it's up against the fence in the back, it has completely blocked off the flow of the water. The water runs down actually almost on a diagonal. It runs towards the stream and towards my property.
Mm-hmm.
So the water tends to would go under the little picket fence into, there's ivy on the other side and into the stream. The stream actually curves a little bit closer to their property than they are to mine. I have additional pictures that can help show you the whole thing. When I saw the fill and the curbing come in, I became concerned because we do have drainage issues and we do have a lot of flooding in that area. So not being 100% sure that this was going to be a negative impact on my property because it goes across the entire back of their fenced-in property, that's when I reached out to Rick. I reached out to Woody first and then he directed to Rick. And he did come out, take a look at the site, and basically said to me, there's other issues, we'll take it from here. Sharon, would you be able to help me for a minute? Sure. I've got some pictures here to just kind of give you an idea and a little bit close-up. These first ones here, this is my yard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
This is my side, this is the Bertoni side.
You can come up here if you want to say it.
I'm just curious to see.
No, it's not happy
Yeah,
to.
okay. And this is, my side, this is the area that's in question. You can see how close to my side that curving goes. Down in this picture, and this was taken in early October. We had our first, a day of rain, October 30th, and that's when I went out and took these pictures. This is the end of their driveway. The dumpster, you can see the dumpster was there. They've got, things. This is something that I know is going to be addressed. This is showing where the water was pooling because that is a very high curve. So as much as they say they didn't raise the ground before they put the playscape on. What they do is they put the playscape on and then they raise the property surrounding it. So the water
Couldn't run off.
couldn't run off. Got a couple of others. So this is my property on my side. You can see there's that curving of the playscape
Mm-hmm.
there. And you can see the water is coming. Their property actually sits a little bit higher
Yeah, the elevation.
than mine. So the water is coming this way. It's coming this way, it's coming this way. I actually have a video on my phone, I'm technologically challenged, that shows that this is actually running water.
Mm-hmm.
On that bottom left photo right there.
This is the stream, this is the stream back here.
Right, so my question is, I can see where that water's ponding.
Yes, and that's what, that's
that
coming
flow-
off the corner, because the water is not, it didn't breach the
bank.
it didn't breach the bank there.
So my
It stopped
question.
there. I do have a picture.
I have a question, you just
Yes.
gotta let me ask my question. Is that ponding water there, was that a condition that pre-existed the playscape?
No, maybe a little bit, but from the corner, because the corner is higher. That's not anything that they do.
No,
Yeah, no,
I
I
just
know.
wanna make a very clear distinction.
Was it ponding
Is
from the
the
rain?
photo that you show on the left that has what appears to be, my question is that running water or is that ponding
The
water?
running water, of which my video showed, it was running all along here.
Where's that water coming from?
No, I'm sorry, I gotta ask like one step at a time here.
Yeah,
The photo on the bottom left, where you have that ponding of water,
yes.
is that running water or ponding water? Is it standing, is it just accumulated in a depression along the mulch
No,
bed?
it's,
Or did that run off
that's,
from
it's
the-
contributed to.
Did that come from the water course, or is that coming
No, it did
from,
not come from the water course.
that's
It
coming
came
from
this
your
area.
neighbor's property?
Yeah,
So we're gonna call this photo the southerly boundary, right?
Yes.
The bottom of that photo? Where is that bottom of that photo, guys? The
This
lawn
one?
area. The bottom, just the bottom of that 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper.
This?
Yeah, where is that?
that is coming off of this corner here.
So it's behind where we have a large, actually, I took some photos.
Yeah.
I didn't bring enough. I printed up 5 copies of photos.
This is what, when so we don't think.
Does Rick have a copy of all this?
He has, I sent you a couple of those pictures.
All right, because, you know, when, I would appreciate if you could get Rick a copy so it becomes part of the file.
And this is this is kind of what I
We
wanted to
just,
show you.
we'll
You
let
have-
her do her
Oh, yeah,
presentation,
yeah.
and then
Sorry.
you have an
Water,
opportunity.
this is from March 2 years ago. When we had, this is what happens when the stream does overflow.
I'm sorry, do you mind just taking your maps off the microphone right there, please?
I'm sorry. My bad, sorry.
Just put them in the middle.
Yeah. This was just, I just happened to go through my phone and find past pictures. This is from March. And what this shows is that the area that I'm now getting water, this is what happens when the stream overflows. This area does not have the water running. Just as an emphasis that, you know, the water up along the fence and that ivy and this curved in area of my property, this is the area right here.
Mhm.
It's not coming from the stream.
Did they have, do you guys have gutters on the house at the time when those pictures were taken?
No. And as I said, now this is just for point of reference as to that we've been dealing with water. This is from the September of 2021. This wasn't the 100-year storm. This is and that's a 3-foot wall on the back end. So this shows the potential. We've been dealing with water ever since I've lived there, so it is a great concern. So my concern was that more water was being directed onto my property because of that curbing, cutting off the natural flow of water. Water's going to flow. I'm downstream, so I get there's going to be some, but it was always down there. Now it's up in this area. It's coming directly across from here. And as I said, I'm just technologically, I didn't know how to download my video to show that this was actually running water.
I mean, the amount of water coming through could also vary with the intensity of storms, but
This is not, yeah, this is not a big storm.
But you're saying based on your historical perspective, having lived there for 31 years,
Yes.
you never saw that ponding in that area
No,
until
I've never
the
had it
swing set
running
went up.
down there before,
You,
unless we have like
100 years.
like a 4 days of rain.
Right.
This was just a half a day.
you used the word in your explanation of fill. By fill, do you mean the rubber mulch?
Yes.
And my other question is, if the rubber barrier or divider were removed and the rubber mulch were removed,
If the water could go back to being Well, you know, and.
Do you think that would restore it to the condition that you saw before? And as a neighbor, that would make you happy?
That's my only concern is that in present state, with that barrier and with that, I'm calling it fill, rubber, whatever it is, and things that are blocking that, the way that the water went, it has no place else to go.
Right.
It gets directed.
Before it was flat, now it's elevated, and it has the
Well, it was
rubber
never- yeah,
divider
it went
that's
to this
channeling the
stream,
water
yes.
off to your property.
Yes, and that's, you know, and that can be, one different one, yeah. Like this can show you that this, you can look at, if you look very closely, you have along the back there, you can no longer see the bottom of the picket fence. There's a piece because the rubber edging, the curb is now blocking it. So the water can no longer go to the stream. And it has no choice because of the natural flow of things towards, downstream from everybody. Is to then, oops, I'm sorry, is that the tendency now, even with that one, and we haven't even hit the rainy season.
No.
And can I ask, because I think you're making a simple request here, did you meet with your neighbors at any point to explain your concerns?
At the time, I wasn't sure. When I saw this, I had concerns. Could this potentially run everything, and could this be, or am I just being, so I was looking for some expert eyes
I
and
understand.
advice. So that's why
That's
I
why you
reached
called
out.
the town.
That's why I reached
I
out to the town.
understand. Okay.
And then, once it came out, he said that there were other issues, and that he was gonna take care of it,
Correct.
you know?
Okay.
So that's why, we never had a discussion, it was, but my concern, my primary concern is the water runoff.
I understand.
I've been in my house 31 years. This is my property. I take care of it. I'm one of the few, I mow my own lawn, just buy me a lawnmower. I shovel my own driveway. I do all my own gardening. And,
Can I ask a quick question about the picket fence? Does it go all the way to the ground, or is there a space between the ground and the bottom of the fence?
There's a space. It was put
Okay.
in previous.
And you're saying
owners
it's
there.
being blocked currently by the curbing?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, it's usually, you know, the ID is on both sides.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can see the IDs on both sides.
Right.
It goes under, it goes through.
Right. Yeah, but you would know if it goes to the ground or if there's a little space.
Yeah, no, there's space there. But it's just, you know, like you said, in the back, because of the rubber curving goes all the way around, that's been blocked.
I understand.
You know, and I know that, like, this will all be under construction, there's this retaining wall, and you need to take care of because there's drainage issues and all. But this is where you can see that that's significant, as far as I'm concerned with the height. And the water had nowhere to go. There's only so much, and because there is a natural tendency to go in that
Can I
direction.
ask you a question? Is this, just looking, I haven't, obviously not, I don't know if anybody's been to the site except for Rick. Is this leaf area, is that the brook?
It's behind, the brook is behind.
So is this swampy here? Like if I were to go walk where all this leaf fallen area is, Rick, is this?
That's a
Is this
tree.
muck? Or is this what is this?
That's the, up there, that's the tree branches and.
No, at the
little
at the
walkway.
ground level. you said.
Yeah, where there's no
this
lawn.
is that.
Is that swampy?
It's like,
Oh,
Soil
on the other
condition?
side.
Is
No,
that
it's
the-
marshy.
it's like.
It is marshy.
Yeah.
Squishy.
Yeah, okay.
It's
Squishy.
Right, there's boulders.
In Louisiana, they define wetland as anything you walk on and it squishes.
Right, so it's,
It's not squishy, it's not squishy.
You're not from Louisiana.
The water, the little stream, you know, it's on either, even on your side, they have, you know, a
Yeah,
bench
you can
there.
see,
It's not like you're
if you
sitting in
want,
mud.
you know, I mean,
okay, all right, this is what I,
Well,
you're still talking to the commission, so I'll pause.
Go ahead, please.
no, I just, you know, this is where this came from. It's water. Water is a major issue, major.
around town.
Around town and.
No, but in that area.
In that area,
It's-
it
Oh,
was.
trust me,
Yeah.
around town.
Are you,
No, I know around town,
We
but
get you, no, we have
Yeah.
intimate knowledge of your street, we
Yeah.
know the impact, we understand,
So, okay,
and
I'm so
empathize.
sorry.
Okay.
okay.
Do you have any more questions for me, or
The Commission have any more
How
questions?
tall would you say the curb is? Is it about 6 inches?
at least? I would say, I don't know what you,
I didn't measure.
it's about this,
Okay, that's about 6.
Figure 6?
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
But, you know,
No
there's,
further questions, that's important.
Anybody? Are there other neighbors that would like to speak?
Well, I can, just.
Excuse me, Sharon, can you go up there, please identify yourself and your address?
Sure. I'm Sharon Cradaville. I live at 4 Brown Street, and which abuts 3 Oak Park and part of 5 Oak Park.
Okay.
And part of the reason I'm here is the drainage. I've been in the house for 35 years. We own 4 Brown Street. We used to own 2 Brown Street as well. And so when we did a renovation 8 years ago, we had to do a drainage plan.
Please stand by the microphone
Sorry.
so.
We had to do a drainage plan. We had to actually put in a water retention system where all of our gutters drain into the water retention system as well as our sump pump. And the same thing when we renovated 2 Brown Street. So, you know, any runoff is bad, and anything that's not being properly managed is bad. We had water come in 2 Brown Street through our egress window and had the whole basement flood. We had 14 inches of water just because runoff, you know, it happens, but we shouldn't be adding to it, right? We should be mitigating it. And, you know, when we did our construction in both houses, we had retention systems put in both houses and water mitigation. And so, you know, my concern is just water, right? Adding to our existing water problem.
you want the water to move out as quickly as it can.
Yes, and have the chance to be absorbed,
Right.
right? So if you're blocking it, you're channeling it, and it's not being partially absorbed as it flows down the property, right? And I just don't want floods, you know, I want,
Rick, when they did the building permit for the house, for the major renovation, they added impervious surface, correct?
Yes.
Okay, did they have to build in Cultex, et cetera?
I didn't review this plan when it came in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe they have a mitigating drainage system.
They wouldn't have had to if it was under 400 square feet, right? Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that
Well, it
what-
depends on when it was submitted.
Yeah.
Well, no, this was a very recent submission, so
Well, it was prior to the current drainage.
it was
manual, I believe.
prior to the current drainage manual.
So then that was 900, right?
1,000, but
1,000.
But you have that in combination now with the playscape. Again, I didn't review the plans for the development or redevelopment of the property.
Well, it was out of the upland review area here. I mean, I can keep,
But to the board,
yeah.
may or may not be out of it if there's any wetlands.
Hmm.
And that would be certainly something that, if I had reviewed initially, that
Okay,
would have been a mapping of wetlands as well.
all right. Sharon, thank you very
any
much.
questions?
No, thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Yes, please. Hi, please state your name and address for the record.
Right. I'm Donna Rosebeer, and I live on 2 Brown Street. My house abuts the stream, which abuts their house.
Mhm.
Donna, you're
I-
at 6 Brown Street.
What?
You're at 6
Oh,
Brown.
I'm sorry, I'm at 6. I'm at 6 Brown Street.
Just for the record.
For
Thank
42
you.
years, I've been there. And for the first 15 years I lived in that neighborhood, the weather conditions were fine. recently, the last, I would say, 10 years, we have not had a little brook in our backyard. We've had a raging river. And we joke all the time that we have waterfront now. But the times are changing. The water problem is increasing. And so whatever you can do to help us would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Can you, ma'am, talk about this situation and your observations on how this is impacting you, if at all, or
My
I
land is-
appreciate the general comment.
I'm
but it-
across the brook from them.
Okay,
I don't have a brook on my property.
yeah,
So, and my land is a little higher. We rarely get water in our cellar. But like I said, we have not seen the river change, the brook changing so much as it has in the last 10 years. It's just been crazy. Also, at the end of the brook, going under West Avenue is a cul-de-sac. There's wires under the, that stop things. So anything floating, we've had to move our wood pile from our property line because you guys didn't want it there, so that it didn't run down the little brook and block that. West Avenue was flooded at one of the last storms we've had. You couldn't drive through it because that little culvert
It's
was
blocked.
Yeah.
preventing.
have you ever seen this property flooded at this point?
I have never seen their property flooded.
Thank you.
But, the water has gone up on the land, but I have not seen the house flooded or anything.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Appreciate- Any questions or comments
I,
for her?
no.
We have actually, at that one problem where the water was over West Avenue, we had water flooding our land, which never happened before.
Well, yeah, but there were a couple of
Yeah,
Elsa
that
and
was bad.
Ida and a few of the other rainstorms.
Right.
I mean, they were catching fish on the post road. Yeah, we had a couple of really extraordinary 500-year events. Anyway, thank you very much
Okay.
for coming up.
You're welcome.
Is there any other neighbor that would like to speak? No? Okay. Mr. Boylan, I guess where we go from here is you've started the process. Yes, you've started the process to make an application, hire, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. I know, because I'm very interested to see what they say and about the rubber curbing, because that seems to be redirecting the flow. Okay, and if there's alternatives to the rubber curbing, that may be solving issues here. But I'm not I'm not a licensed engineer from the state of Connecticut. So we'll be interested in getting your application in a timely manner. Okay, Rick, is that agreeable to you?
Well, I guess my question is, given the application process is really designed for someone building like an equivalent of a house, and we have a swing set, it costs thousands of dollars just to file the application.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, no one has ever come to us and asked us to remove the rubber curbing or the fill. We actually never heard from any of our neighbors at all about this being a problem. We only heard about it through the town. So we're totally fine to just remove all the fill and come up with some more proportional solution. Before spending thousands of dollars to even potentially be told we can't keep the swing set, or we have to then also do thousands of dollars of drainage work, and it's just, we're not going to do that for a swing set. It would be prohibitively expensive. So I guess I've got kind of two questions. One, is there a way to do a lighter proportional version of that where we can look at this in kind of a pragmatic way and come to you would need to do this, so go figure out how much it costs and if it's worth it to you?
Yeah, I think with an inland wetland commission, there's a process, and the process is to hear from professional engineers licensed in the state of Connecticut. So we would have to make our determination based upon a totality of evidence, including, further neighbor, maybe a neighbor wants to hire an engineer. The rubber mulch is problematic from a number of reasons. First of all, putting rubber into an inland wetland area, you don't want to have that chafing off running into into the river. So, I mean, it's just, I think that the commission would have to, determine based upon facts and circumstances, but you certainly would have a debatable issue here as to whether this is a structure or not. And I know you can classify it as a swing set, but it could be a man shed, it could be a she shed, it could be a whole bunch of other things, but it's, sitting on the ground and it is a structure, one way or another.
And looking at it, you sit there and say, hey, if it was, an extremely portable soccer goalie, like this, it's maybe, but this is obviously a much more permanent structure. And so we tend to review those more carefully because, given the extreme water events that we've have experienced in the last 10 or 15 years, stuff flows downhill, stuff flows downstream.
Right.
And so chairs are left out. I mean, porta potties have floated down the Goodwives River.
Couches.
Couches. It's amazing to see to hear the stories we've heard about what we find in downstream for things. So we're very careful about things, about activities that are permitted there because it might not affect you, but it certainly affects the West Avenue Bridge because if something gets, during a storm, if something gets caught under that, okay, it collects, it's just not that, it collects the limbs of trees and therefore we get branches and leaves, etc., which blocks the entire purpose of what goes under West Avenue, and so there's a whole process of trying to keep that clean.
Right.
Okay, and so and so one of the things this commission is very conscious of is avoiding all of those problematic items in the upland review area because the poor people who are downstream, okay, get hammered. Okay, I saw one driveway that it was a driveway, and then the Goodwives River carved out 4 feet of it. Okay, I mean literally, there was a 4 feet gap because downstream they hadn't cleaned out trees that had fallen across the water course, etc. And so we are very, very aware of situations like this and want to avoid them because, hey, as I view it, I might not know who's affected, but you are my neighbor, and so we have to be careful of we may be upstream, but the people downstream, particularly West Avenue there, there are things interrupted. I just want to be conscious of it, and I'm not sure, and the structure here, we'll have a good discussion on that, but everything underneath it.
Is there any way that we could come up with a solution where they take away the stuff they have boxed in the mulch? And I totally agree with you, the rubberized mulch is probably an issue here in the upland area.
Definitely.
But make a cleaner solution, because again, this was taken from another property and reconstructed. I don't want to speak for you, but I got to imagine once your kids are all at base age of 6, the thing's probably out anyway, or it would be at my house. So let's not, I think that's probably making a mountain out of a molehill to make them go through a full process for something that, as we heard from the neighbors, could be agreed upon with a much simpler solution.
What do you think, Rick?
I think that you don't have a choice about requiring an application for an encroachment within the regulators. That's the standard.
Yeah.
That's the policy, that's the regulation. It doesn't say, because it's a playscape, that it doesn't require a permit. So it requires a permit, the baseline information, and how the professionals determine that as a result of maintaining it either in this place or some other place, that it's not adversely impacting anybody, that's for them to determine. It could be just a simple removal of that.
Yeah, we get it. Like Peter said, is the other, and I'm with you too, and we empathize. I have 3 kids under 11 years old, so I don't have a place to put a play set, and I would love the opportunity because I could corral them all on my property, but I think what we want to communicate to you is we can't make special rules for you. We can't make rules that accommodate you and are unfair to your neighbor or unfair to your other neighbors in town that follow the regulation. And specifically this evening, we have an application where someone went through all these steps to have a playscape approved that is materially smaller than yours. Another little piece of information you should be aware of is that you're probably in violation of planning and zoning filling and grading regulation. If you have more than, I believe, and don't quote me, more than 6 inches of fill, so if you're adding more than 6 inches of topography to your property, more than 20 cubic yards, you will require a special filling and grading permit. I'm pretty sure planning and zoning, the planning and zoning ZEO officer would say you would be responsible for completing that application. That's separate from a planning and zoning application. If you have a filling and grading application, you might need a P&Z application. Additionally, you have accessory structure. This accessory structure looks like it's closer to 8 feet of your property boundary. You have to keep your accessory structures away from your setback. That's not your property line. You have a border, so you might be encroaching that setback. So from just a visibility standpoint, your playscape is too close to your neighbor.
I would also say as well, since I took a look at your brick building permit on your addition, it's 412 square feet. I'm not sure why that hasn't come before this commission, because apparently it's within the upland review area as well.
The house is not, and also it was over an existing
Okay,
garage.
but
so
that
it
would
should
be for soil scientists to determine, not Rick, not you, not me.
So what it sounds like in summary is your neighbor is amendable to you having a playscape. That's great. It sounds like they have an adverse impact to your playscape, which you are amendable to curing that. But unfortunately, our hands are tied with making any special accommodation for you to, scrape the wood chip away and leave it. Unfortunately, you have to follow the process.
I always tell people, don't call the cops unless you want the cops. We're not here to mediate things. Our process is very well defined, and we have to go through the process.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time. It was never our intention to break any of these rules. We were more unaware of
I
them.
appreciate that. I
Got it.
appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So there's the EPC number 7-2026 PL 2612 5 Old Parish Road. You can find this electronically, and this family appears to have an application for a playscape. So maybe what you do is look at that, use it as a crib, and talk to Rick about your application.
And you said, sorry, what was it?
Well, we have this electronically. You could call Rick, and on here this evening is an application for a playscape.
It's called 5 Old Parish. 5 Old Parish Road.
So you need to take action.
Okay.
So the action that is you need to vote to maintain the cease and desist in effect and be
Just as a-
modified to require what? File an application within
Yeah.
a specified period of time.
Yes. So we need to take a vote on that?
Yes.
Okay. So, you want to make the motion?
I'll try to figure it out, so help me, Rick. I'll make a motion to maintain,
Just right there.
for,
Maintain a cease and desist in effect.
right, for,
5 Oak Park.
right, for 5 Oak Park Avenue to maintain the cease and desist and to modify,
To require
to require
the filing of an application.
the filing of an application for 5 Oak Park Avenue by May 15th. Was it May 15th?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
I second that motion.
All in favor? Thank you very much.
Have a nice night.
Thank you.
Moving on. EPC 15-2026, PL 26-49, 26 Pasture Lane, AT Pinage, I'm sorry if I mispronounced, to construct a new single-family dwelling, drive, walkways, drainage, utilities, and other related features proximate to the wetlands and watercourses. The property lies along the east side of Pasture Lane, approximately 2,000 feet south and east of Nearwater Lane, and is identified as map number 51, lot number 54. The zone is R1, and is approximately 1.002 acres.
So Chairman, application has been placed on the agenda for acceptance to start the statutory time clock and to determine if a public hearing is warranted, to consider the details of the application, and to solicit any initial comments for those who have been out to the site. Staff has inspected the site. We'll be developing a list of information to address the major the concerns that are typical to applications of this sort. It involves the demolition of an existing facility. If you've been there, there's a couple spots of wetland on the site, and they are currently proposing encroachments that are proximate to the wetlands. No direct wetland encroachment, but proximate to the wetlands.
Is P&Z going to have a public hearing on this? Do you know? Because it's a new residence.
I mean, you could, but yeah, honestly, I haven't heard of anybody who has interest in it. Again, it's for
Okay.
an area that is proximate to wetlands.
Proximate to wetlands. Okay. Any questions or comments by the commissioners? Okay, we accept it. EPC 16-2026, PL 26-30, 471 Mansfield Avenue, Missionary Society of Connecticut, Inc., AKA the Episcopal Church in Connecticut, the Commons.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to recuse myself from this application.
Okay. To subdivide the 14.45 acre property into 4 single-family residential building lots under the conservation subdivision requirements outlined in Section 840 excuse me, of the Darien zoning regulations. The property supports both wetlands and watercourses, including a reach of Stony Brook. The property lies along the west side of Mansfield Avenue, approximately 1,500 feet north of half mile, and is identified as map number 2, lot number 35. The zone is R2 and is approximately 14.45 acres.
Mr. Chairman, the application has made its way to the agenda this evening to start the statutory time clock and to solicit comments and to determine if a public hearing on this merit, this application is warranted. The kind of unusual for the commission is that it's a 4-lot conservation-based subdivision. So the details I provided, all the plans and reports, and there'll be referrals, and there is interest in the application. It involves the demolition of the existing church facilities that are there and some accessory dwellings and other buildings, and create 4 essentially building lots along with the attendant facilities. It also involves bringing a sewer line up to serve the properties, and on the property itself, it's a pretty extensive area of wetlands, water courses, Stony Brook, which we really haven't seen much of, and adjoining that have already been established open space areas or areas that are held by the Darien Land Trust. So I welcome your comments and point in some direction as to again, all the things that we typically start the clock and determine if a public hearing is warranted.
Okay, from my perspective, it very clearly a public hearing is warranted. It's a major subdivision. There's a huge wetland in the back there, so I'd be interested to hear that. I also believe that we need an independent wetland scientist to go through the property and to represent us, to figure out what's there, because I walked the property today and there's like pink flags around there that, and I'm looking up going, and I see where they are, but it didn't make a lot of sense, made some sense, didn't make a lot of sense. And so I think that we should, so I have 2 points to the commissioner, to my fellow commissioners. One is, I think it should be a public hearing. And I think we need an inland wetland scientist to go through this property and to make sure that it is, the wetlands are properly, the wetlands and
Well, it's not just about, you want an evaluation of functions and values of
Yeah.
the wetlands to assist in the determination essentially what the impacts are going to be and the appropriateness of a 4-lot conservation subdivision.
Yeah.
It's going to take a bit to review. There's a ton of information they have submitted, which
Yeah.
is a positive.
Right. Trevor, you want to, you're okay?
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, I'm good.
The only thing you have to state on the record what the purpose is of the public hearing.
Okay. The purpose of the public hearing is, this is a major subdivision of a, of a wetland. There's major wetlands on this property. I've heard from a number of people who have been talking to me in town about this. So there's very clearly a public interest as to what happens here.
Yes, so the purpose, I would also say, is it's a public interest and also a significant impact on the environment. So it'd be twofold purpose for the public hearing.
How do you feel about hiring
I agree with that.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Ms. Caroline?
You want me to make a motion to?
No, I want your opinion and.
No, I think we should have a public hearing as well for the reasons that Peter mentioned, that you mentioned. But did you want any additional comments, or we're not?
Yes, absolutely.
Like one of my concerns is, I think, I'd be interested to hear the whole presentation, but, so there's lots 1, 2, 3. It was lot 4. I think that's shaped a little bit differently than the others. It's wider and the wetlands extend into the property more, and they look like they're in an area where the homeowner might be inclined to develop it as lawn grass. I would just want that protected. And then obviously, because the properties go down to the Stony Brook, I would want buffers. And then I walked the property today as well. There are tons and tons and tons of invasive vines. There's winged euonymus. There's all kinds of things like that. I would want in the, in our area to be, remediated. And obviously, in the narrative, they made it, said that they understood that EPC could impose additional requirements like the buffer, demarcation for the wetlands features, and other features. So I would just want to explore that a little bit.
Sarah?
No questions. Okay.
Okay. So I think we need a motion for the public hearing.
I make a motion to hold a public hearing for EPC 16-2026, 471 Mansfield Avenue, for reasons of public interest and impact on resources.
Second that motion.
All in favor? Okay, and then you'll take care of finding an appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there anything else we should do on this one, Rick? Done? Okay. Moving on, EPC 17-2026, PL 26-51, 350 Middlesex Road, M. Marshall and C. Marshall, to construct a residential addition, drainage, and related features proximate to the wetlands. The property lies along the east side of Middlesex Road, approximately 700 feet north of LeRoy Avenue, and is identified as map number 6, lot number 169A. The zone is R1, and it is approximately 1.00 acres.
So Chairman, like the previous applications, this application has made its way to the agenda for acceptance, starting the statutory time clock, a determination as to the necessity of a public hearing, and to solicit any initial comments you may have on the application itself. Staff has been to the site. We'll be developing a list of information to address applicable concerns, and I certainly welcome your input as well.
Michael, anything?
I don't, have anything.
Nothing from me.
No questions.
Of course. Just one housekeeping thing in the address on the statewide inland wetlands and watercourse activity reporting form has the wrong address. It has 1 Pilgrim Road as opposed to 350 Middlesex Road. I also had a question about tree loss. It wasn't clear to me on the site development plan that looked like every tree on the property had a little X through it, so I wasn't sure if that was indicative of removal. And lastly, the underground detention is 50% in the upland review area and 50% outside of it, and I'm wondering, is there a reason why it can't be shifted to the west to get it entirely out of the upland review area? That's all I had.
No questions? Okay. Rick, you got your acceptance. Moving on to old business, EPC 01-2026 PL 25-197, 1 Pilgrim Road, R. Griswold and C. Griswold, to construct a pool house, expanded patios, walls, drainage, and other related features within close proximity to the wetlands and watercourses. The property lies along the east side of Pilgrim Road, approximately 600 feet south of Stephen Mather Road, and is identified as map number 1. The lot is 19, the zone is R1, and is approximately 2.002 acres.
Chairman, this application is for a pool house and related facilities. It was not the subject of a public hearing. The commission considered this application at meetings on January 7th, February 4th, and March 4th. Significant testimony had been provided on pertinent issues, including resource impacts, drainage, water quality, and the big one that we spent a lot of time reviewing was the discussion of alternatives. At the end of the March meeting, the applicant, or the EPC, directed staff to formulate a draft resolution for consideration at the next regular scheduled meeting. I've accomplished that, and I welcome your comments.
Okay, the commissioners have received a copy of the draft of the resolution. Are there any questions or comments? No? May I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve EPC 01-2026 1 Pilgrim Road.
Second motion.
All in favor? Thank you. Moving on. EPC 02-2026 PL 25-199 120 Brookside Road, the town of Darien, maintenance dredge, a pond, and some other related improvements to Cherry Lawn Park. The project affects the wetlands, watercourses, and upland review areas. The property lies along the east side of Brookside Road, approximately 1,075 feet north of Meadowbrook Road, and is identified as map number 11. Lot 31, the zone is R1, and is approximately 27.46 acres.
Mr. Chairman, the EPC received the application at the January 7, 2026 meeting, and testimony was provided at the March 4th, 2026 meeting to address important issues that were identified relating to the maintenance dredge of the pond in Cherry Lawn Park. If you recall, a significant amount of time and detail went into not only the dredge and the operational dredge, it's a suction dredge, but also into the maintenance and management of the space around the pond in order to provide a better environmental condition around the pond and promote or just to remove the possibility of, or try to reduce the possibility of future dredging operations of this sort. It was a very good plan that had been presented. At the end of the testimony, upon the completion of testimonies, staff was directed to generate a resolution for consideration at this month's meeting.
The commissioners have received a copy of the resolution. Are there any questions and comments? No? May I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve EPC 02 2026 120 Brookside Road.
Second that motion.
All in favor? Moving on, EPC 05 2026 PL 26-6, 20 Driftway Lane, J. Wilcox and C. Wilcox to maintenance dredge portions of a pond. The project affects wetlands, watercourses, which is Tokenique Brook, special flood hazard areas, and upland review areas. Access to this parcel lies along the east side of Driftway Lane, approximately 1,300 feet south of Tokenique Road, and is identified as map number 66. The lot is 121. The zone is R1 and is approximately 3.93 acres.
Mr. Chairman, the application has made its way to the agenda tonight, only to acknowledge an extension that the applicant is engaged to try to develop and be responsive to the information requirements that the commission had requested.
Okay, that's on it. So they want an extension. Okay, EPC 06 2026 PL 26-8 to 50 Buttonwood Lane, G. Bar's Nest to install and maintain a fence installed in and approximate to special flood hazard areas, wetlands, and watercourses. The property lies along the south side of Buttonwood Lane, approximately 1,025 feet east of Mansfield Avenue, and is identified as map number 10, lot number 48, and the zone is R1, and is approximately 1.64 acres.
Like the last application, this is only on for an extension and additional time and attention to give this application at the next meeting.
EPC 07 2026 PL 26-12, 5 Old Parish Road, T. Harris, to install a playscape fence and other related features in a special flood hazard area approximately to wetlands and watercourses. The property lies along the east side of Old Parish Road, approximately 350 feet south of Middlesex Road, and is identified as map number 19, lot number 37. The zone is R1 and is approximately 1.48 acres.
Similarly to the last, this is for the acknowledgement of the extension or to develop the required information.
Keeping you busy.
Yes, they are.
EPC 13-2026 PL 26-33, 43 Blueberry Lane, R. Sinclair and A. Sinclair, to remove trees, repair a fence, and install native plantings in and approximately to the wetlands. The property lies along the west side of Blueberry Lane, approximately 1,175 feet south of Oxford Lane, and is identified as map number 07. The lot is 34. The zone is R2 and is approximately 1.44 acres.
This item is made with the agenda. It's for discussion this evening. And I'll just offer some brief comments. The applicant's proposing is a pretty substantial re-landscaping and improvement project that's been generated for the project. They're proposing to remove trees, repair a fence, install native planting, and conduct other related activities in and proximate to wetlands. The property, of course, is on Blueberry Lane. Currently supports a single-family dwelling, an in-ground pool, sheds, walls, and other related features. It's served by public water and individual septic system. The property is characterized by gently to moderately sloping developed space, but it also has wetlands on the property. In the farthest reaches of the site, there is wooded wetlands. In the approximate center of the property, there's a finger of wetland that has a range of essentially long grass to scrub growth in it. The soil scientist, under prior applications, identified and verified those the wetland soils, and in the agenda summary report, it talks of it speaks to the various wetland types that were provided. Property's not in the flood zone. What is important here is that this property has been before the EPC on a number of occasions over the years, from additions to remedying violations and requiring replanting, and also that pool application. They were allowed to install this in-ground pool in the farthest reaches of the property, adjoining the wooded space. Again, the applicant seeks permission to manage trees that are on the property. And in doing so, they had, and I verified, and I spoke to the Connecticut arborist that generated the plan. And they have identified some number of trees on the property that require removal or because of their condition, ranging from true hazards to having disease.
The beech leaf disease.
Yeah, so there have been a number that have been identified. It's their intent to remove those trees almost entirely by hand, and to remove the accumulated debris because they have limitations. Limitations that are posed by wetlands, they have limitations posed by existing septic systems and getting machinery back there. So they are very clear in their presentation that they will be removing those trees by hand. As a result of the EPC's participation in the application, they pointed out some things that were important in the areas of concern. Originally, there was a deer fence that was going to be installed. They have decided, and we'll talk about all the alternatives and the modifications they've made, but they've decided not to move forward with that. They'll be repairing the existing fence. Question that was posed by commission members last time was there a permit for the prior fence? And the answer is yes. You go back into the files, and I pulled the
You
old
said
files.
loosely in your,
Well, it is.
explain that.
There was a fence that was put through the wetlands that was
Mhm.
permitted. It was moved a little bit
Okay,
further to the north as opposed to what was there now.
okay.
And so the plantings are rather extensive. If you looked on the planting plan, they're replanting native conservation-based planting in amongst the trees in the wooded space, in this wetland pocket as well. And they're also doing perimeter plantings. Questions came up about it was going to be phased over a period of 5 years or so. But just to get back to the plantings, they've added typical, to meet the policy standards that have been now employed.
Two that are not named, yeah.
The policy standards that have been employed, but the vast majority are true native conservation-based plantings. They've also added a demarcation feature at the commission's request. And I'll get into the placement. And again, they talked about how it's going to be employed, the planting schemes over some period of years. With the input of the commission, there have been changes made to this plan. There's been alternatives. One, they have gotten rid of the deer fence. They're just going to be fixing the existing pole fence now. They have, you may not even see, because there's been, in response to the agenda summary report, further changes have been made in part of a plan, is that they have moved the demarcation feature to the limit of lawn and landscape as opposed to the edge of wetland. They've decided to maintain the stone demarcation feature that was the part of the original
Wetland pond.
prior plan. So they're going to be maintaining that as opposed to removing it. And I've also determined to eliminate a pool patio expansion that would have thrust this application into another level that required an engineer because of the size of the proposed improvement. They have come back with, as late as in response to this agenda summary report, some further plan modifications. And those include they include clarification of the planting that was proposed for that wetland finger. They moved it, as I said, the demarcation feature. They've added some more comments regarding the removal of invasives. And the one thing that at least the board should at least consider is, or have a discussion of, is in this wetland finger, is that they are not, although they are employing pretty significant enhancement to that space, they are not bringing out to the full edge of the finger as it was in the prior application. So the applicant is present this evening. If you have any questions, I'm available to answer the questions and concerns you may have, but and also the applicant to answer your questions.
Please state your name and your address.
Hi, I'm Allison Cuffle at 376 Highland Avenue with Oakstone Land Service.
You're the,
Landscape designer and
A landscape-
contractor who will be installing.
oh, okay, okay. Okay, do you have anything to add to Mr. Taliamelli's?
No, I think we're very much improving the site. Right now, it's very sterile. We're contributing a lot of native plants. The demarcation walls I tried to eliminate because I felt like we're trying to make a beautiful natural setting. It closes off the wetland visually. I want to make it beautiful, but also sustainable. If my client loves it and if it's beautiful, they're going to take care of it. If it's not pretty, unfortunately, they're not going to take care of it. So it also inhibits plant material from creeping out. Naturally, if you're a gardener, you know plants kind of pop up where they like to be. So all these walls, enclosures are limiting that. But I'm okay with leaving them, but I'm not going to extend that bed because there's visibility issues to the pool. So I feel like I've contributed enough plant material that makes up for the tree loss. It's 20 trees or 20.
There are, but they're falling, and there's a lot of kids running around on the property, and he's
Yeah.
very concerned.
Yeah.
But also, it gives us an opportunity to let a lot of light on the property that's going to provide light for these plants that I'm planting.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that we need to cover all these wetlands with trees, but really, it needs to be a layered environment. You gotta have the ground covers, sedge grasses, the ferns, the shrubs, the trees. It's an ecosystem.
Right, and you are putting in quite a few medium to, the red maples, they're a medium to large deciduous
Yes.
tree, so,
Yes.
yeah, it's not like you're not putting any trees in.
No,
You're
I
putting quite a
am
few
putting
in.
trees in. But again, the whole object is to have a diverse population of plants and also to maintain them.
Mhm.
So invasive species, I do not want to disturb the soil. I don't want to hand pull anything. I'm cutting it down to the ground. If there's invasive species that do pop up, my plants are going to come up. If anything grows over the ferns or over the spice bush, I just hand prune, or
Mhm.
even with a weed whacker. When I control the height of the invasive species, they don't flower, they don't produce seed, they need more energy to live, so they have to get it from their root system because they're not photosynthesizing. So when you keep doing this cutting, they disappear because what the plants that I'm proposing are going to take
Crowd
over.
them out,
So I
right.
just have to be on top of it. So monitoring it twice a month in the spring, maybe over the summer, once a month. It varies, depends on the season.
So this is something you're gonna follow up with for, it sounds like for a couple.
I'm
years.
installing, and then somebody else will be maintaining, but I'm going to train the person who's maintaining the property because I would like him to do it correctly if my client's going to spend all this money implementing this plan.
And so the wetland finger, am I understanding that you're keeping the existing rocks that are around there but not adding any additional? Because it was unclear in some of
know.
the sketches, and I wanted.
So there's two walls that are staying.
Mhm.
If you want me to delineate the front of the finger, I could put 3 boulders, but I am not going to build a wall because
Yeah, we don't
It's
require
kind
a
of-
wall. I mean, it's
No.
usually just,
Hey,
it's usually so that, people don't decide to like displace that area with lawn.
I understand.
Yeah, that's the reason for the demarcation. I mean, in fact, you probably could,
Do you have a better way to demarket?
With plants.
but then those are easy for people to take, I mean,
But-
maybe not this homeowner, but.
But I know, that's the thing. This homeowner will take care of it.
Right.
It's going to look more natural. We want it to be appealing. We
Mhm.
want people invested in the wetlands so they could take care of it. So It really comes down to when the next owner of the house. I don't know how you ensure that. You can't.
And the plans, again, there were a couple of different plans, so it got a little bit confusing, but in the back, the wetlands in the back where all the trees are being, or where all the wooded area, so there's like a grasses area in front of that?
Yes.
Is the demarcation going to be in front of that, or in front, or behind that, but in front at the actual, so is it at the limit of the lawn, or is it
I
at
think
the-
you would like it between the turf lawn and the sedge grass
Yeah,
planting.
for the same reason that I just said.
Right,
because-
so
yeah.
we could do that with boulders within that planting bed, so no one is gonna mow it over.
Right.
There's a clear definition.
And then in terms of timing, I know this is being phased over a couple of years. The trees are the first thing to come out because
Yes.
of the hazard. But is the wetland finger the next thing? Or
Yeah,
is it-
so what we've decided, the trees are going to come first.
I know the perimeter is going to be last.
Yeah.
That was clear, but everything
So
else was.
the far wetland, the
Mhm.
sedge grass garden, and the finger will all be planted at once.
Okay,
And then the very last, and we could say within 3 years,
the perimeter.
the perimeter.
And then you did such a nice job with the selection of true native plantings, but then there were a couple of cultivars in there. I'm just curious, that's
Well,
because
not cultivars, but I did some shrubs that were not native, and it's
Yeah.
because we have a really bad deer issue.
Mhm.
So when somebody's spending a lot of money into a garden like this, I need to make sure that the deer are not gonna come and eat everything.
Mhm.
I selected those plants because it's very shady and it's wet and we have deer.
Mhm.
And I was providing screening from the neighbor. It's
And-
not invasive.
Right, and we just like straight natives as much as possible in these sensitive wetland areas. The wetland finger, you're bringing it back, so it's not going to be the whole wetland area that's planted. But and I think you said that you would suggest to the homeowner to practice organic land care in that area because of the wetland. But can you like kind of strongly suggest that because it explain why?
Oh, absolutely. I've been educating them the whole time.
Okay.
They realize how important it is
Yeah,
now.
you seem
They
very,
didn't realize the importance of it.
Yeah. Very often people
But-
don't until you explain it, and then they're all on board.
But they know it's ugly, and there have been somebody who's been planting miscanthus in there.
Yeah.
So those are going to be bagged up, removed before they go to seed. Everything is going to be, I don't want to stir up the seed bank and have all these invasive species. I don't know what's in the soil, don't want to disturb it, I just want my plants to take over.
Right, right. Okay. Yeah, and I think that just the last question I have, you're one of the few landscape architects who plans to compost the.
Well, the leaf litter is
invasive?
important.
Mhm.
I mean, you shouldn't really remove
No,
that.
no, no, not the leaf litter. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Maybe I misunderstood. I thought that the invasives were being removed and dried and then
Yes.
taken off-site to be
Yes,
composted.
and it depends on which invasives. Some you
Okay.
can't do,
Right.
but there's some that I could just let it on the side, on the asphalt, let it dry out, chip it, and then we could use it as compost.
Okay, but on this
Not
property?
in the wetland, I will take it away.
Okay, all right, that's all I.
Yeah.
Sarah, anything?
No, very thorough.
Anybody else?
Sorry.
Carolyn covered all my questions.
I'm sorry.
I'm sure.
I'm sorry, you should always start down there first.
Operationally, just have a question about tree removal. So you're going to climb the trees, cut them down, carry the trunks out with the skid steer or something?
No, with the tree cart on plywood.
Every 20 tree.
Yeah, but they're not all big trees.
And they're
Some
not all
that are
way in
very
the back
small.
either, only 3 are. Only 3 are way in the back.
But it's a regulated area. I can't have machinery back there.
I think we've permitted skid steers in the past.
If that's so, if I put plywood down, can I use a skid steer?
Yeah, the only thing,
I think our
when I spoke to
controversy-
the arborist,
Our
he was saying that he has a difficult time with machinery on this site because wetlands and septic.
Mm-hmm, it's a septic.
Yeah, but if
Yes.
you, but, okay, we've had applicants come where they're constructing a house very close to a wetland, and we say, keep the payloader, the bulldozer, or the lull out of the wetland, we show up and the silt fence and the wattles are in the wetland and 2 tires are in the wetland, that's an issue. But if we're cutting trees down and you need to carry the stumps out with plywood, and that's a limited operation, I don't think, I wouldn't have an issue.
Well, the whole
issue with
object is
that.
not to disturb the soil,
Yeah, they're not gonna
the
take the
ground.
stumps out, they're gonna flush cut them.
Oh, well,
But
whatever
your
part of
logs,
the tree,
I
whatever
mean,
part of the tree they're hauling out of there. And as it relates to the septic.
there's a way of doing it.
Yeah,
They
there's a
can
way.
put plywood
to-
down, they can just
Yeah.
not make a mess, but they can't go
So
with their septic system.
I don't think we want to just arbitrarily handicap your operation, but, okay, so that's my piece on that. Second question I had was, is your proposal to do all the tree demo and then you have 3 years of installation?
Yes, but I'm doing the majority of everything this year.
Okay,
The third year, that's where the perimeter plantings.
okay, all right, understood. And the last piece is, my opinion on demarcating the wetland area is different based on the site. Obviously, this is looking more like English garden pasture than other locations. And my question to you is, couldn't like a split rail fence accomplish some type of demarcation as opposed to boulders?
Well, then
Is there
fence
some-
is going right in the middle of the property.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it goes right in the middle.
That's
It's
a
your
bad
job to dress it up. I'm just asking
I think we
other
could do it with
alternatives.
minimal boulders,
Mhm.
even if I were to take out the walls and just do selective boulders so it looks more natural. Would that work?
But we've
Because
done
it's-
that for other applications.
It's like a stacked wall that's just crumbling. And
Right.
it just adds so much to
It's just-
maintain those.
It's just so that, a landscaper or a new homeowner doesn't come in
I know.
and like has their landscaper like just plow everything to the
I think we
wall.
could do it with boulders.
Yeah. So how close would they have to be, Rick, in the wetland area? Usually it's 10 feet, but
Yeah, but,
it's a rounded thing.
well, are you saying to remove the walls now?
Well, she's
In lieu of putting
suggesting-
boulders, or just add a couple boulders
In
to the front part of it, and she can dress it with plantings, but
But
it's not gonna be.
aesthetically, she
close.
doesn't like that, so, and she's saying if it's more beautiful, the homeowners are more likely to take care of
You
it.
can decide if you want to remove the stacked wall.
In lieu of a boulder, would it just be a berm of earth with flowers in it? or
Well, you
with
can't do
plants?
that in the wetland.
Okay, help me understand, how would you demarcate?
Yeah, with a boulder.
Not using a boulder?
Not
Like,
using a
it doesn't
boulder?
Doesn't sound like you
Um,
want a hardscape, so my question to you is, what's the
No,
alternative?
she's happy with boulders, she doesn't like that, right
I'm
now
happy
it's
with
like a
boulders.
wall.
It's a wall now.
Yeah, it's a
it's
stone
like-
wall, kind of.
Okay,
It's like a 2.5 foot, 3 foot wall.
all right, I understand.
It could be
No
like a
further
nice,
questions.
No, Mike, keep going.
every so often boulder
Good.
around it.
Tap it
Yeah.
out.
So what do you say, Carolyn?
I'm happy with the boulders, as long as, they're big enough that they can't
Yeah.
be moved by a landscaper to
Right.
remove the plant material.
Great.
And to, give the impression
You
that this
guys
is a
okay with that?
special
I'm fine.
protected area.
Right.
This is an
And I think
English
they'll,
garden.
I think they'll
This
be able
is-
to tell with the plants also, but it is there in the winter, and the
People
plants will not
take
be in their
plants-
winter, so.
People take really important plants out all the time.
I think this is your jam right here. I think this is the application where they want to infuse all the plant material to have a nice environment. I think we're good.
We okay?
So, we'll draft the resolution
Yes, please.
for the next meeting. And I just want to be clear. So we're making some amendments here. We're going to reference the new plans and giving her the option to remove the walls and
Just
provide boulders, but
boulders.
even from the full extent, there'd be a
Yes.
couple boulders there.
Yes, and when you make that plan,
Mhm.
just get it approved by staff.
Mhm.
Okay, just make sure
Yes.
staff's okay with it. Yeah, okay, and then I think everybody will be happy. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, EPC 14, 2026 PL 26-34, 74 Pembroke Road, M. O'Connor and S. O'Connor. to construct and/or expand a driveway turnaround patio, pergola, and other related features proximate to the wetlands and watercourses. Property lies along the south side of Pembroke Road, approximately 575 feet east of Salisbury Road, and is identified as map number 1, lot number 95. The zone is R2 and is approximately 1.28 acres.
Find myself. Mr. Chairman, this item's on for discussion this evening. The applicant is proposing to do improvements to of the property that consist of the creation of a circular drive and other driveway improvements, expansion of a patio, and to do certain landscape enhancements along with drainage. So, to mitigate the impact of the increase in improvements. The property currently supports a single-family dwelling, driveways, walkways, patios, and other features. It's served by a private subsurface sewage disposal system and well, and it's characterized by, there are essentially gently sloping developed lands and wetland areas. There's some areas of exposed ledge, and there's many large trees, particularly to the north and east. Wetlands have been identified by a soil scientist, and our agenda summary report identifies those soils. There's also a water course that's on an adjoining property this site generally drains to. We'll get into the drainage in a moment. But they are tributary to, ultimately, the Good Wives River. It's not in the flood hazard area. The applicant, again, is proposing these driveway improvements and patio improvements. They needed to demonstrate that they have minimized or avoided wetland watercourse and other resource impacts. They utilize measures to preserve and enhance water quality, addressing drainage impacts, and then providing measures to mitigate for the unavoidable impacts or improve the overall conservation values of the regulated areas and property. Site development plan was prepared, and careful review of that indicates that the project elements encroach no less than 19 feet to the designated wetlands and 67 feet to the off-site watercourse. There's relatively little grade change. It's relatively low, generally in the range of 1 foot or so. 3 trees of size shall be removed from the regulated areas. But there's about 17 trees that are in the non-regulated areas, particularly along the edge of the road, that are going to be ultimately impacted by the development. Applicant reports that about 5,000 square feet of the upland review area shall be temporarily or permanently affected by the development. There's no direct wetland encroachments. A drainage analysis was done, and given the anticipated increase in overall site imperviousness, the applicant has developed a plan to manage that, and it's being essentially addressed through the creation of, or use of, porous pavement on the driveway turnaround. And they've clearly defined what areas are going to be porous pavement, which are going to be bordered by a membrane, which is going to be regular asphalt, or a pond liner, and a basic operations and maintenance plan has also been provided. As a result of that, if properly implemented, that the engineer has made a determination of no adverse impact in either of the watersheds that are studied, and no adverse impact on drainage in the adjoining properties. Other additional water quality measures, there's been a sediment erosion control plan that has been developed with all the typical component pieces. The drainage structures have been equipped with the ability to collect with deep sumps and outlet controls. And again, they're utilizing porous asphalt to infiltrate much of the runoff before affecting property. A planting plan and mitigation plan has been developed. Those plantings are provide for the removal of non-native invasive by hand, in the boulder demarcation features, and the introduction of numerous true native plant species. This one talks about deer repellents and fence tree protection and the encouragement of organic lawn and land use maintenance activities. The applicant will cover their discussion of alternatives and how they came up with this drainage scheme. Much of it has to do with being responsive to the existing soil and groundwater conditions. We had generated a letter back in March that was the result of our discussions with the commission, we identified the issues that were important, and certainly perhaps the discussion will move towards tree assessment and impact, and the location of the mitigation plant. The mitigation planting has been defined and confined to the perimeter, and you see if you're satisfied with the location and how they've addressed tree impacts. Applicants, to you.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Schur. I'm a project engineer with Redness and Mead and licensed engineer in the state of Connecticut. We are providing civil engineering services to Sean O'Connor, who is owner of the property. Rick covered a lot of this. I will touch on the drainage. So this site is hydraulic soil group D type soil, not very receptive to infiltration. Test pits revealed very high mottling as well. There was one area up in here that had better soils, but of course that's where the septic system is. So our hands were tied with drainage options. We actually discussed this with Joe Canis over at Ty and Bond, just kind of bouncing it off of him. And what we went with is full porous asphalt with a 12-inch crushed stone layer underneath. And what we're thinking here is, and what Ty and Bond has agreed with us with our assessment, is these are poorly draining soils to begin with. And so what we did is we just said this 12-inch profile with the water going straight through it is really kind of mimicking existing conditions out there today. It's holding back water, giving it time to infiltrate down, and really creating that permeable surface that's out there now. So we're increasing in hardscape by 4,100 square feet. We're proposing 5,900 square feet of porous asphalt. So we're actually decreasing impervious surface by 1,000 square feet, which is a net benefit to the property and downstream drainage. And we're really encouraging that infiltration back into the ground. There are under drains located right here and here. So when you have excess flows, it's allowed to get back into the system. I can open up the utility plan as well. So these are both in the low point, so right up here and right here, and they tie directly into area drains. So that's just a 6-inch perforated pipe embedded underneath the stone. So when you do have that excess flow, it kind of allows it to get into the system rather than overtopping. The proposed improvements that are in the upland review area, you have a minor patio expansion over here and a minor expansion of this western drive court that's serving the garage. The remainder of the majority of the improvements are outside of the upland review area. In order to help offset this, we did have a very thorough planting plan put together. It's about 4,000 square feet of mitigation plantings in an area that is currently manicured lawn. So we think that we've really gone above and beyond in terms of mitigating these encroachments and really improving this wetland, because right now it's just manicured lawn at the moment.
Why are you looking at me?
Because I don't know.
He already identified the troublemaker.
No.
The most knowledgeable one.
Yeah. Well, mitigation planting plans are your bread and butter. So, but that's really it. I would love to answer any questions if you have any, though.
Michael?
I don't have any questions.
I'm all set.
No question.
Is there currently any drainage on is there currently any underground tension, or does the water just like flow from the gutters across the land?
That there's no detention. There is a conveyance network that runs through the middle of the site, actually runs underneath the house as well, and then back out through the wetland and across this property line. So all of the building's roof leaders, all the houses' roof leaders are tied into this system, and then there's a few area drains in the front and the back.
I was gonna ask what that, I saw the drain in the back. Since I didn't think there was any detention, I didn't know what that was relating to.
It's a very flat property, and it's almost a little bowl-like in some areas. So, and we actually, Sean had the pipes video scoped, and they're relatively old. So this has been around for a long time to pretty much, I assume, mitigate old drainage problems. But it would predate requirements of detention or anything like that.
Okay, and then yes, yeah, you do have a lot of plantings. I was just wondering, can you sort of you said 4,100 square feet, I think. Can you sort of characterize the width of that in the back of the property?
Yeah, so this is the limit of the flagged wetland along the property line. And what we actually did was the limit of the plantings is set 15 feet off the property line in this area, and then extends 15 feet past that last flag that's on our property line. So that was kind of the border that was given.
But aren't those wetlands to the right? Isn't that sort of rounded area? Are those not wetland flags right there? Those are not wetland flags?
Right here?
Yeah.
These are wetland flags. We kind of kept it at a continuous offset from the property
Yeah, no, I
line.
understand.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned you're recommending organic land care, just no pesticides, no herbicides, because that is wetlands there. And then with regard to the trees, I know only 3 are in the upland review area that are being removed. Were they the other 17 or so? Is it for the purpose of constructing the driveway, or has an arborist commented on their condition and? Are they in decline or dead or?
I know that, so the majority in this area are to provide sightlines for both driveway. And then Sean, do you want to add anything to that? Excuse me.
Excuse me, sir, if you're going to talk, because the people on TV want to hear you. Please state your name and your address.
Sean O'Connor, 74 Pembroke. Yeah, so really it's to take the trees out of view, so if the driveway is put in and approved, so you can see out in both directions. So if you can see the road here, actually when we're pulling out of our existing driveway, which is right here, I really have to lean forward and look out where all the bushes and trees are. My kids love to play at the end of that driveway too. Like there's just, it's a little dangerous the way it is. We bought the house from an old woman who really didn't take care of the property for a long time, and a lot of these trees are very overgrown. A lot of them are decaying at this point too, so hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, yeah, no, thank you.
Health and safety.
That's for the kids.
Enough said, right?
Yeah.
We say, hey, if there's a tree, it can be in the dead center of the wetland. If it's a health and safety issue, it goes. Okay, because makes sense. Anyway, please.
No, that's pretty much all I had. So you have a nice operations and maintenance plan for the porous pavement, I saw, so, because that will require some care.
That because porous pavement becomes impervious over time if it's not maintained. So, I hopefully you own this house for a long time and maintain the pervious pavement, but let's put it this way, there's sand gets in there. If you use sand and the small, debris gets in there, that prevents the perviousness, and that's the reason. So, and since this was a good compromise to put a pervious pavement in there, that's, to compensate for the extra impervious surface, the 4,100 square feet, just a friendly reminder.
Understood, thank you.
Yeah. So, anybody else have anything here? Good. Rick, you want to write this one up? Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
So, moving on, approval of minutes, March 4, 2026. I believe everybody's got a copy of the minutes. I know that my English teacher to my left, has dotted i's and crossed t's and much more.
Sorry.
So, with those amendments, can I have a motion to, any questions or comments to these? No? Can I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the EPC regular meeting of March 4th, 2026.
Second motion to approve minutes.
All in favor? Thank you. Agent approvals, EPC 09-2026, PL 26-15, 50 Relihan Road, D. Jucum and V. Coyce, to construct a deck and other related features proximate to wetlands. Property lies along the east side of Relihan Road, approximately 500 feet south of LaForge Road, and is identified as map number 45, lot number 91. The zone is R15 and R1/3. It is approximately 0.52 acres. This is for agent approval.
Chairman, just as a very quick summary, this particular property has a spot of wetland that's in the back. It's historically been maintained as lawn. There's an off-site water course. The house has gone on substantial renovation over the last couple of years. And the last piece of not only was it renovated, but they also put an addition on. They also did drainage that was successfully completed and resolved. The last piece of the puzzle was to do the deck. They left the deck off the original proposal because it involved an encroachment into the regulated areas. The original proposal had come in, it was both for a deck and a patio. The applicant since gone back and revised it, didn't want to do the patio. Is addressing the deck. They did a drainage plan. They will be accommodating the drainage by doing a bank of crushed stone under the deck, a little bit wider of a plank opening. That will not have an adverse impact. The construction on drainage and adjoining property has been verified by Joe Canis, the appropriateness. The wetland, again, maintained as lawn, and there's an off-site water course. And to the applicant's credit, he went out and had a planting plan done that managed the invasives and provides planting and a demarcation feature. One of the things you probably didn't see, well, we have, again, in response to the agenda summary when posted, they went out and provided like the demarcation feature and adjusted some of the numbers. The numbers were a little bit off, and they've done that. So given the fact that the encroachments were de minimis and the impacts were non-existent, and the improvements that we made, we determined to comfortably fit in the agent approval process. And we've generated that to allow him to move forward.
Any questions or comments by the commissioners? No, thank you. There's one piece of other business that Michael would like to bring up. Mike?
I was at, you've got to love Darien. I was at the town dump and I bumped into our former commissioner, Jim Lard. And he made...
Did you tell him how much extra work he's causing for me?
And he made a very salient point. He said that the Thorndale Circle project looked, I'm going to paraphrase here. It looked like the land was cleared significantly. And then we had a further conversation about stockpiling of material. And I said, you know, you made a good point. I don't really drive around there that much. And I took a peek over. I drove up to the property and I took a look. And I don't see a tree in sight. I see stockpiles that are on the perimeters that abut the wetlands. And I'm not trespassing, so I'm not going on the property. But I had to be the first person to admit that when we were approving the application, I thought that there was still vegetation that would remain on the property.
Not within the bulk of the property.
Right. Well, okay.
They did some assessments, but within the confines of the development, the trees were to be removed. The perimeter and then the 3+ acres are being dedicated to open space and all the trees preserved and enhancements.
Across the brook.
So there's like a rock crushing operation and there's stockpiling. where the wetlands are located, and the area that we discussed, the runoff from I-95, was a question, because you can see that when you're coming northbound, it's like right there, you can see it. Do you visit the site?
Yes, but also, there's a ton of material there. If you
So
know-
the question would be is are they in compliance, and is there any concern about stockpiling material or any impact
They
to
were
the wetlands?
processing material that, again, we didn't have any conditions about not processing material, but you also see that if you drive by there at 6:30 in the morning, when I do, right now, they're trucking away that material. So they have grades they have to shoot for. So they are in compliance. They have, as a result of the state permit, because they disturbed over 5 acres, they have to have weekly inspections of sediment and erosion controls and perimeter controls, which is being accomplished by Redness and Mead. So every Friday, I get a report that outlines that Patrick Shore done the inspection, and he makes recommendations for changing the condition, if there's an adverse condition. So right now, it's a lot of disturbance. They're doing all the buildings, at one time, they got all their building permits, they're making their way from Boston Post Road, developing the buildings, the foundations. They're at the point now is once they stamp the material out, then they'll be doing the drainage and the utilities and all the pertinent things, working their way back
The
from
treatment train.
the treatment train. So, is a lot of activity? Yes. A lot of disturbance? Absolutely. Is there large piles of material? Yes. But it's being monitored, and again, they have a...
What is the report? What is he reporting back to you or the town?
His report is solely on general compliance with the conditions and sediment and erosion controls.
So he's
perimeter
basically saying the
controls-
silt fence is in place, the
Silt fence
wattles
is
are
in place, it's
operating.
maintained. I inspected it at the beginning too, to make sure it was in the location. They had to put double silt fence and all kinds of things that were on the plans, that the inlets were protected. But this is helpful with Patrick going out there every week, like on a Thursday, and making sure that there's no adverse impacts off-site, and that their perimeter is tight.
And that the stockpiles aren't
Well, the
scouring
stockpiles,
into
they're huge.
No, but is there like a check? Okay, we'll talk about that offline. It's
Yeah, but
good to
it-
know.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's a lot of disturbance, a huge project. It's got it's got layers of inspection requirements and conditions that control, but it's very all encompassing. And from what my observation is that they move. So I think it's their intent to finish the entire project like in 18 months.
Wow.
They did the retaining walls in the front of that first building, the foundation was poured, it was located, it was in the right place, and now you see the lumber going up, it's going up, very quickly. And then they move on to the second building, which is the amenity buildings, then it's the garages, then they start with the other units, working their way around the site. So the next step in this process is to make sure, and I've been corresponding with them, it's about the utilities and the drainage. So once they're in a position, they have to do that. If you remember, there was a series of essentially rain gardens that were down by the edge of the river. They really have to do those and then start working their way back and out.
Okay.
So we'll keep an eye on it. But you go in there and you go, when you go in there, it's kind of, there's tons of activity, and they're processing material. I don't think it's really rock crushing, it's processing, sorting, sifting, but it's going out all day. There was
Yeah.
probably last Thursday, there was probably 40 trucks in line.
Wow.
Big site.
Well, okay, anything else? Woody? Motion to adjourn?
Yep, I make a motion to adjourn EPC regular meeting of April 8th, 2026.
Second motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Good night, Channel 79.